Behind every teddy bear, there is a great story. I once heard a while ago in my US history class that the reason we have teddy bears today is because Theodore Roosevelt went out on a hunting trip. So according to TheodoreRoosevelt.org, it actually started when they were having quite an unsuccessful hunting trip. And Theodore Roosevelt could not find any bears to hunt. So two of his hunting mates actually did find a bear, tied it to a tree, and said, "Hey Theodore, we found one for you." He was so disgusted that they tied this bear to a tree, and he thought, there is no way that I'm going to mercilessly kill this bear. And what he did was he walked away. He refused to shoot this bear. So this story traveled down the grapevine, and a political cartoonist actually drew a picture of it. So this cartoon became very famous, and a lot of people ended up reading it. And there was a man and his wife who read this political cartoon with a picture of Theodore Roosevelt walking away from the bear, and they thought, you know what? We make stuffed animals. Let's make a bear for Theodore, for Teddy. So they made the very first Teddy's bear, which we now know today as Teddy Bear. What I have for you today is a story that shows that every teddy bear does have a great story behind it. The story that I'm going to share with you today is this teddy bear story. So we were just talking about earlier, this teddy bear is as old as you are. So it has a long history behind it too. So what we'll do is back all the way up 14 years ago to me in second grade. So I have a picture here to show you just exactly what I looked like. So as a second grader, here I am on the right. I was playing Pretty Pretty Princess, so I have lovely jewelry on. I have crooked glasses that are this large. My mother said, Heather, they didn't have any that were small enough for your face. Now they do, of course, but they were crooked, askew. My bangs were cut by my mother, so of course she's no expert, and they look like this. I am the picture of dork. Not that I'm any different today, I'm still a dork, but back then it's a little harder when you're a kid. You're just trying to make friends, and whenever you have huge glasses, it's a little bit harder. But there are always those people in class who make it just a little bit easier to be a dork. So in second grade, I became friends with a girl named Katie Hartman. So what I'm going to picture for you is a day in second grade in spring. It's raining, pouring outside, so we still had recess, but we had to stay inside. So around the room, there are a bunch of activities going on, and then I see in one corner my friend Stephanie and my friend Katie. So I go over, they're both playing with stuffed animals, and I come over and I say, I wish I had something to play with. And Katie heard me, even though it seemed like no one else did. And she immediately holds up her stuffed animal horse and says, "Here, you can play with Fudgy." So I was shocked that this girl, one, heard me, and two, she was selfless enough to, oh, I won't worry if I have a toy to play with, but you can have mine. Absolutely. That is selfless right there for a second grader to do that when all you want is all the best things and you want friends. So I remember her always to this day as she was on that day. So what happened as I became better friends with Stephanie and with Katie is that I went through the rest of the days, and then Katie stopped showing up to class. She didn't come to school anymore, and I missed her, but I didn't really think much of it. Then one day, Mrs. Wiggin, my second grade teacher, got up in front of our class, and something peculiar happened. She was reading a letter to us, and she was crying. Okay, so Mrs. Wiggin has just opened up this letter, and she's reading it aloud to us. And we're not really understanding, but Katie's been missing from school because she has pediatric cancer, and she's fighting it. So what we were told, our assignment for that day, please write some get well soon cards for Katie. Okay, I like art, I like Katie, I'll sign a card for her. We all did that. That day ended, and I forgot all about it. So I made new friends. I went on to 3rd grade. I went on to 4th grade. And then something happened on a random day in April. We were told, unfortunately, that Katie Hartman had lost her battle to cancer. So she ended up passing away when I was in 4th grade. It was a really hard day, but I remember going to the counseling offices. All of Katie's friends went there. We were all sharing stories, and they were just all such happy stories, and mine, of course. Well, Katie, this one time, she told me, here, you can play with Fudgy. That's the story I always tell about Katie, because that's Katie. She was selfless. So that's the story that I took away from me that day. And after I left school, I went home, and that's when I started to cry, because I realized that I lost my friend. But you know what I had for me waiting at home? This bear. So this is the bear that my dad had waiting for me, because he said you always need someone to hug when something bad happens to you. So that's when I had this bear. I named her Katie, and she remained with me, obviously, up until this time. However, I kind of started to forget about her. So I had this teddy bear, slept with her every night in elementary school, and then you go to middle school, you get a little bit too cool for school and teddy bears, so it's easy to just stuff her away in the closet with all the rest of my stuffed animals. I forgot about her. I went to high school, and then I had to choose a college. So it's a big deal, obviously, trying to pick a college. Which one do you go to? But I wasn't really sure. So I picked Penn State. It's a well-known school, and it has a lot of different majors for people who can't decide what they're good at. So I went to Penn State, and then I decided that I found out why I was meant to go to Penn State, because I found THON. So THON is the foundation that we have at Penn State that helps kids who have cancer. So that is when everything started to come back to me, and I remembered Katie, not just the bear, but also Katie Hartman, the person. So every day that I was a THON chair, every day that I spent working this year and eventually dancing in THON for 46 hours, I know I came in here with my ankles all swollen, I was sitting in the chair, my throne. Every single day I was remembering Katie. So it was a very cool feeling for me to actually feel like I had a conclusion to this story. I brought Katie in with me to THON this year, so I walked through those doors at the BJC and I carried Katie with me. So even though she wasn't able to fight cancer, I was able to still have her with me so that she could go to her first THON. So as you're thinking about THON, or just any charity at all, try to remember that there's a story behind why everyone does anything that they do. If you go to thon.org, you'll see just how many reasons I have to continue fighting for THON every single year. And for THON 2012, the number looks a little like $10,686,924.83. That's a lot of reasons to keep fighting cancer. So that's the amount of money that people donated this year. And it's not just about the money for why I'm involved in this, and obviously I have my Katie Bear. It's also just, I have another chance to connect with humans. I call Bryce's mom, so Bryce is the 13-year-old with cancer. I call his mom and talk to her all the time. I call Justin Kaufman, who's 16 years cancer-free, and he's an inspiration for me. So I hope that this is an answer for you. Why is this lady so crazy about THON? It's because I have this bear, and behind every bear is a great story. That's my great story, and the reason I have it is because of Katie Hartman. So as we're moving on from today into the rest of your lives, revise that statement. It's not just behind every teddy bear there's a great story. It's really behind every person there is a great story. So as you move on from today, I'd like you to think and ask yourself this. What is your great story going to be? Thank you.